Imagine standing off Singapore's east coast, contemplating one of the biggest risks this city-state could face in the future: rising sea levels. Now, fast forward a few decades and this same location is covered by 3 massive new islands, effectively solving this problem. This isn't just a flight of fancy. In November 2023, the Minister for National Development, Desmond Lee, announced a land reclamation project aimed at creating 3 new tracts of land. Undoubtedly, this project will involve remarkable engineering techniques and is estimated to cost $100 billion. Will this plan be successful in securing Singapore's future? Is the project worth $100 billion? Let's discuss. Undoubtedly, Singapore is one of the most stable and competitive economies in the world. It has established itself as an innovative hub that welcomes new businesses and entrepreneurs. However, it faces one major problem: space. With an area of 734 square kilometers of physical land, it's the 20th smallest country in the world, despite having a population of almost 6 million. However, this isn't the only problem. As we discussed earlier, sea levels are rising. Around 30% of Singapore's land area lies less than 5 meters above mean sea level. According to the Third National Climate Change Study published in 2024, mean sea levels could rise by 1.15 meters in the worst-case scenario by 2100. By 2150, sea levels could rise by 2 meters if the use of fossil fuels remains uncontrolled. High tides and storm surges could push the sea levels up by 4 to 5 meters, posing a serious threat to Singapore's shorelines. Don't think Singapore was unaware of or ignored the problem for decades. It has been working on expansion plans for almost 6 decades. Since its independence in 1965, it has expanded by 25%. Every year, it has grown by a fraction thanks to land reclamation projects. Land reclamation, or landfill, is the process of creating new land by using sand and other materials, which are then dumped into the ocean. The famous Marina Bay in Singapore was also part of these ambitious land reclamation projects. You might think that if reclamation involves dumping sand, it's cheap and easy. However, that's not the case. The process requires billions of dollars, especially for importing sand from other countries. A 2019 United Nations report named Singapore as the world's largest sea sand importer, based on the record of 517 million tons of sand shipped over the preceding 2 decades. However, this wasn't an easy task for Singapore. In 2019, Singapore planned to reduce its reliance on sand after its biggest source, Malaysia, banned all sea sand exports due to environmental concerns. Other suppliers, including Indonesia and Vietnam, also stopped providing sand to Singapore when they noticed their coastlines were disappearing. Why doesn't Singapore consider migration as a suitable solution? Unfortunately, there's nowhere for them to go. Like many other low-lying coastal islands, they must find a way to stop the excess water flow. So, what's the solution? The Long Island Project, which sets the stage for 3 massive new islands. Before we dive into the details, I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you're new here. The construction industry never fails to shock the world with insanely expensive projects like this one, and I'm here to make sure you don't miss a single one. Now, let's get back to this fascinating project. The Long Island Project will span approximately 800 hectares, nearly twice the size of Singapore's Marina Bay. The new areas of land will be constructed at a higher elevation than the mainland to protect the city-state from rising sea levels. The reclamation includes a new reservoir, Singapore's 18th, designed to control excess stormwater. If you're familiar with how the gate at Marina Barrage operates, you'll have a better understanding of the engineering involved here. Stay tuned, as I'll explain the process of this new reservoir in detail later in this video. The reservoir may also be used for water activities such as dragon boating and canoeing. However, engineering proposals on paper are difficult to turn into reality. Along with the staggering cost of $100 billion, this project will require remarkable engineering to secure Singapore's future. Forget that traditional way of dumping millions of tons of sand into the ocean to create reclaimed land. This isn't that fruitful in this modern era. For example, these traditional approaches can lead to erosion and subsidence. Instead, you need to understand this smart approach, which includes a tidal control system, 3 functional zones, and an innovative construction process, all leading to a stable, durable structure. The strategic plan to construct Long Island parallel to the east coast sets the stage for an enclosed water body between the island and the mainland, which will eventually become a new water reservoir. The reservoir will play an important role in managing the water flow, thanks to pumping stations and 2 centralized tidal gates. But why only 2 tidal gates? Agencies had also considered constructing a 3-meter-long seawall along East Coast Park with 12 tidal gates and 12 pumping stations. However, the plan was not approved due to the expected disruptions from such a massive construction. The park users would be affected by the seawall, and the pumping stations would take up park space equivalent to about 15 football fields. As I explained before, during heavy rain, 2 gates at the new reservoir will open to release excess water into the sea when the tide is low. On the other hand, if the tide is high, the pumps will release the water instead. This way, low-lying areas will be protected from excessive water, and the water inside the reservoir will remain stable. The main engineering technique that will be used is the caisson construction process, an environmentally sustainable and efficient approach. Caissons are large, hollow concrete structures made with high-strength concrete. The plan includes 200 caissons, each 50 meters long and several meters wide. Engineers will build them on land and then sink them into the seabed. These caissons will form the walls of the new island, ensuring a robust foundation. The plan includes building 4 caissons per week, requiring 50 weeks to complete all 200 caissons. After their construction and careful placement, these caissons will be filled with ballast materials, such as gravel, sand, or water to keep them anchored to the seabed. To ensure Singapore gets stable land, engineers will backfill the space between and inside the caissons with engineering materials. Given future demands, the engineers will also be able to upgrade these caissons over time. The process will not disrupt the entire island. While the $100 billion investment protects Singapore from the worst effects of climate change, it also unlocks recreational and economic benefits. This mega-project includes urban expansion, with designated zones for residential and commercial developments, creating space for retail hubs, offices, and high-rise apartments. It also features around 20 kilometers of new waterfront parks, part of a continuous 120-kilometer-long waterfront space along Singapore's southern coast. Additionally, the project could help expand Changi Airport, which drives Singapore's rapid economic growth. By adding more space for logistics, transportation, and businesses, Singapore will further strengthen its global presence. While this mega-project has the potential to help Singapore combat rising sea levels, it also comes with its challenges. As with many other mega-projects, one of the main issues is the staggering price tag. If the project doesn't turn out as expected, it could lead to some of the worst economic setbacks Singapore has ever faced. Although the process involves an innovative approach, it's still not straightforward. It'll require very careful steps to ensure the results meet expectations while minimizing the environmental impact. Experts have already raised concerns about the environmental consequences of this project. Reports indicate that over 60% of the coral reefs in Singapore have been lost due to previous reclamation and coastal development projects. As a result, some believe that another massive project will only worsen the condition of marine life. Benjamin Horton, director of the Earth Observatory of Singapore, has also highlighted the challenging aspects of this project in his efforts to describe climate change as a matter of life and death for Singapore. He said, "One of the unknown questions is actually, what is the carbon footprint of Long Island? Are you just going to add a carbon emissions problem?" He openly resisted this idea, stating, "If you don't control the problem, which is climate change, if you let your emissions go out of control, Long Island is just a waste of time. Sea levels will rise so rapidly you won't be able to build the adaptations quick enough." While there are some challenges, this mega-project is worth $100 billion, considering how effectively it tackles one of Singapore's biggest problems. Construction is expected to begin in the 2030s and finish in about 2 to 3 decades. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future updates.